So here's to us partnering to light up your audience and knock this one out of the park. Thank you for joining us for today's 7 Super Tips with legendary coach Nick Saban. That's right, former Michigan State football coach. Go Green! Nick Saban, who won a national championship at LSU and has won several at the University of Alabama, and is arguably the greatest college football coach of all time. He's going to give us 7 Super Tips.
You know, these guys sort of they all think they have this illusion of choice, like I can do whatever I want to do. And we kind of have a younger generation now that doesn't always get told no. They don't always get told this is exactly how you need to do it. So they have this illusion that they have all these choices. But the fact of the matter is if you want to be good, you really don't have a lot of choices because it takes what it takes. You have to do what you have to do to be successful. So you have to make the choices and decisions to have the discipline and the focus to the process of what you need to do to accomplish your goals. And all these guys that think they have a lot of choices are really, you know, sort of sadly mistaken. And I think, as we all have done with our own children, they learn these lessons of life as they get older. And sometimes the best way to learn is from the mistakes that you make, even though we all hate to see them have to make them. And we don't really condone it when they do.
The impact that my coach had on me and the impact that you have on every young man that you affect. And we all worry about winning and losing games, but those guys are dependent on us. They care about us. There's 3 guys that played for me at Michigan State way back when, standing back here waiting to see me. And I'm happy to see them. And I'm concerned about them because they weren't my guys for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. They're my guys forever. And that's the way we all should feel about what we do. Because we have a responsibility and obligation to help these guys. They need us. I mean, how many guys do you coach that have 2 parents in the home? How many guys do you coach that don't have any parents in the home? So, you know, that's us. That's who we are. That's what we need to take responsibility for and be there. And there's only really one way you can do it, and that's develop relationships with these people. You got to develop relationships. How much time do you spend developing relationships with your players? You know, if there's one thing different about our team this year, is I don't think our coaches spent enough time developing relationships with the people on the team. It's the biggest difference in our team.
How many times do I hear the word finish out here? I don't want to keep bringing it up, but what did we need to do last year? Finish. Finish. That's all we need to do. It's a mindset. It's a habit that you create. It's not really about what you want. It's about what you're willing to do to get it. Whether it's how you recover, how you sleep, how you dissipate. So what is this team willing to do? And in the end, we've had teams around here that were willing to do whatever they had to do. We had some that weren't.
I stand up in front of our team just like I'm standing up in front of you now, and I give some great talks and speeches and all that stuff to motivate people, try to motivate them. But, you know, they find out at all these, you know, big religious things that they used to have, you know, where they had, you know, all these great big revival meetings and all that kind of stuff, and they thought that's why people joined up. You know what they're finding out now? That doesn't do any good at all. You know why people join up? Individual meetings. They meet individually with somebody and impacts them, and they join the church. So what's that tell me? It tells me we ought to be doing the same thing. I'm going to talk to a group of guys. They may or may not listen. I may make all the right points. But if you make it about them and you sit down and have a relationship with them, they're going to respond to you.
There's always a lot of criticism out there when somebody does something wrong. Everybody wants to know, how are you going to punish the guy? All right, but there's not enough for 19 and 20-year-old kids, people out there saying, why don't you give them another chance? All right, so I'm going to give a speech right now about this. Like, where do you want him to be? Guy makes a mistake. Where do you want him to be? You want him to be in the street? or do you want them to be here graduating? You know, when I was over there at the Nagurski, Muhsin Muhammad, who played 15 years for the Carolina Panthers, played for me at Michigan State. Everybody in the school, every newspaper guy, everybody was killing a guy because he got in trouble and said there's no way he should be on our team. I didn't kick him off the team. I suspended him. I made him do stuff. He graduated from Michigan State. He played 15 years in the league. All right, he's a president of a company now, and he has 7 children, and his oldest daughter goes to Princeton. So who was right? I feel strong about this now, really strong, all right, about all the criticism out there of every guy that's 19 years old that makes a mistake, and you all kill him. And then some people won't stand up for him. So my question to you is, where do you want them to be?
You know, we have a pyramid of success at our place, which is kind of sort of what defines being a champion. And you got to have a team full of champions before you're ever going to win a championship. And I think that's where we sometimes get a little misguided. You know, we live in such a result-oriented world. Everything's about results. And very little is about the process of what it takes to get the results. And I think our organization is different because everything that we do is about the process of what it takes to get the results. Even our pyramid of success. It doesn't say win a championship at the top, it says be a champion.
My dad taught me life lessons in everything that I did. He was my coach every day, whether it was football, working at the service station, how I cut the grass, how I cleaned the mower. I mean, there was a standard for everything that we did. And if you didn't meet the standard, you had to do it over. And there was a reckoning every day about how you did what you were supposed to do. And I think that created a tremendous amount of accountability for me in terms of how I grew up. But it also taught me the importance of a partnership in terms of working with people who had a high standard for what you did and how you did it and why it was important to do it that way.
That's it for today's 7 Super Tips with Nick Saban. He's actually great friends with my former basketball coach, Coach Tom Izzo, and they both practice the same thing. When they're leading up to the national championship or a bowl game, they practice what they do best and don't worry too much about the opponent. They know if they do things well, everything else will take care of itself.